Oh, what is up, everybody? I am Taylor, and this is my weekly comic book review show. I'm going to go over this stack of oh, goodness. Goodness is too strong a word. I'm going to go over the stack of books. I'm going to let you know what I thought about them. I'm recording this on August 11th, 2021. So if you're viewing this in a time capsule and humanity has ended and, you're a giant robot teddy bear that really hates people, well, you can watch this and know that I mostly agree with you. Anyways, let's get into it. I start with the worst book and go to the best, and it's all subjective. It may be your favorite book. I'm not really trying to yuck your yum or whatever the hell the kids say. I'm just giving you my opinions because, well, it's what I do. All right, let's just do this. I'm tired. It's been a long day. Had to help a buddy move. I'm out of shape. It was 100 billion degrees up. You don't need to hear about my problems. You need to hear about these problems that the children of the atom have. All right, this is the last issue of this. I'm pretty sure. Thankfully, the storytelling of this miniseries has been all over the map tone-wise. It's a cluttered mess. And they managed to take, Video Island managed to take an interesting idea and just butcher it. The art is competent by Paco Medina. This is a non-ending to a non-series that I just don't give a rat's ass about, and I'm glad it's done. I thought it would be better than it was. I picked it up, and everyone was for a minute was specking on it. I think that's all died down because they realized it's just a mess of a story. Now I know sometimes that turns into a solid spec down the line because Marvel's nothing if not a dirty bastard of a company that'll take any character and turn him into something. Not like DC, whose recent hit Suicide Squad. That was all major characters, right? All right. Anyways, yeah, this is not good. I'm just glad it's done. I don't want to spoil it in case you've not read it, but it takes you about 5 issues into this miniseries to figure out that it's an interesting idea, and then about 30 seconds to realize, well, that was a stupid way to tell this stupid story, and this is a stupid ending to this stupid story. It's very saccharine. Saccharine is fake sugar, kids. So it's fake sweet. Saccharin is probably not a thing anymore, right? I'm old. Is this the right order? Yeah, we're going with this. This is not bad. It's just kind of another non-ending to a miniseries. Much better than Children of the Atom. Like everything's sort of taking a leap above that. America Chavez made in the USA #5. It's all right. It sort of retcons everything about maybe or possibly retcons America Chavez is in origin story, possibly, but it may not have, and it's also it's just a weak ending to this miniseries. So, speaking of things that are weak ending that I just want to be over, holy crap, Rorschach! I love the covers and I love the art. And Tom King is just making me want to punch walls with this one. It's a slow, boring as hell story. And it's all exposition. And I get that. I mean, it's like court reporter or investigator trying to investigate and find out stuff. It's just kind of the quote unquote twist in this one. Just be done with it. One more issue. If I ever buy another Tom King maxi series, folks, from issue 1, yell at me in the comments down below. Just be like, you know better, Taylor. You know better, because he just does this. He drags crap out interminably long. This should have been like a 3-issue thing. Actually, shouldn't have been written at all. All right. Okay, this one has potential. It's just not my thing. Cinnamon. I like the cover. It's bright. This is The Mind of a Cat. It's all Victoria Douglas, I believe. One person doing it. Small press. The art is scratchy and kind of over the top, and kind of reminds me of the show Happy, which I think was based on a comic I never read. But it's sort of like this is what's going on in a cat's head. Turns out cats are dicks. I mean, that's kind of this whole story. With weird sort of adventure life. It has potential. It just didn't stick it for me. And the art was a little confusing in places. I mean, I like the style, and it's a 2-tone color. Like, it's just kind of pinkish throughout. It's a weird color choice on a little bit. Not horrible. Just not for me. All right, speaking of things that are just not for me anymore, I gave it 2 issues. Fight Girls, 2 of 5. Yeah, it's women competing and giant sort of dinosaurs. There's just not much to this. Even the B story, Like the B story has like a page or two of stuff. It's a well drawn book. Frank Jonas and Sabrine Rich, they're doing a great job on the art and that stuff. It's just kind of there's just nothing to it. I don't know. It's like it is sort of like watching American Gladiators, where you like if it's on in the background and you got other crap going on, it's not horrible. But if you're just trying to watch it and pay attention, you're like, oh my god, this is not no, what am I doing with my life? This is a what am I doing with my life book. Like, why am I? What am I doing with my life, people? Why are any of us here? Is it to read Infinite Frontier? I don't know. Probably not. This is not bad. Again, we're in the fine section. Here's the thing. I am not caught up on all of DC's minutia, and like there are a lot that are past events, and you really kind of have to be to know what the hell's going on in this book, I think. Jim Shooter, who was an editor at Marvel back in the days, used to say something like, every comic book is somebody's first. If you pick this up, any issue of Infinite Frontier, I think you'd be just lost. And I have a bare knowledge and stuff, and I am still lost. It's not awful. I mean, there's some interesting elements going on, and there's some interesting ideas. It's just kind of like, I think you'd be much better serviced if you had if you either love these characters and know what's going on, or if they'd had just a bit better job on sort of developing them and let you know what the hell they're all about. There's just kind of none of that in here. Not to keep talking about the Suicide Squad, but the Suicide Squad took characters that the movie, the new one, took characters that nobody knew about or cared about, and like really quickly gave you their stories and gave you an interesting take on them. There's none of that in here. There's no really quick, interesting takes. It's just kind of like, man, all right. Yeah, all right. The Joker, this one's losing its luster for me. It's still gorgeous. March is doing a great job on the art. There's a backup story by Punchline, and it's still as bad as ever. It's just a stupid backup story. And this Joker story is just kind of, it's not a Joker story. It's a James Gordon story, which is fine. I get why they didn't call it James Gordon, because then they'd have to be like, James Gordon, the mustachioed hero, and that's just a weird sub tag for this. It's just not going anywhere, and it needs to. I know Tynan likes to stretch things out and slow burns a lot of stuff, but like, come on, pick it up a bit and do something. Just something, anything. All right, Ordinary Gods. This is an ordinary book. It's not. It's an interesting idea again. Reincarnated gods that don't know they're gods, and against rebels, and sort of, kind of. I don't know. It's fine, and it's another interesting idea, but the execution just kind of lost me. I'm not going to be picking it up. I gave it 2 issues. It's kind of done for me. Maybe I'll trade bait it later, or trade paperback it, or whatever you want to call it. Maybe. Or if it picks up later and people like are watching this later and said, Taylor, you're missing out on Ordinary Gods, let me know and I'll give it another chance. The art's cool. Well, Watanabe does a great job on the art. It's just, the story is just kind of, when you have, 5 issues, maybe it's not a miniseries, but it feels like it's a miniseries, and when you only have a few issues to work with, a slow-paced thing like this doesn't always work, and this one just didn't always work for me. Yeah. All right, Silver Coin number 5. This is wrapping up the first arc, and from here on out, this is going to be a trade paperback buy for me, if I keep it up. It's a straightforward horror anthology for the most part, revolving around a silver coin. And this is the origin of the silver coin, and it's a straightforward origin. This is the one that's written and illustrated by Michael Walsh. There's been guest writers in every issue up until now. And it's a rotating cast of writers. Interesting idea, and it can be done well. And the art's fine, and the story is not bad at all. It's just pretty yep, okay, that's pretty straightforward. And that's nothing unpredictable, no real twists, no anything surprising. Like, if you look at this cover, you can almost pretty much tell the story of how this silver coin came to be. I mean, it's pretty... Yeah, there's just nothing surprising about it, so... Trade paperback it is. Yeah, all right. This one came out last week, but it was damaged, or whatever, something. So I had to wait till this week. And now I'm looking at this, copy's damaged too, but whatever. It is what it is. Superman, the son of Kal-El. Tom Taylor, 22 pages of action. That is a lie. There is not a lot of action in this book. It's a cool cover, actually pretty interesting take. And I like the direction that Tom Taylor is going to sort of taking this character, and like this sort of internal struggle he's setting up with this. I don't even know his name. The son of Kal-El, new Superman. Shut up. Thank you, phone. Anyways, more should have happened in this issue. I think it's a little slow paced for being a first issue. I'll probably keep this one up for at least one or two more. Tom Taylor knows how to tell a superhero story. He started the seeds and the nuggets of this. It's just kind of, he should have let it grow a little bit more in this issue. So, all right. Sometimes you can read a book and have no idea what's going on, and it's okay. And that's kind of how I feel about this one. No idea what's going on still in Bunnymask. There's hints of things, but there's also like one character I thought was something is not, I think, maybe, and then there's like a couple spiritual beings, maybe, and there's a girl in a bunny mask who's probably a ghost, maybe. These characters, one of these might not be the person they say they are, maybe. Yeah, I'm a bit lost, but the Andre Moody art is great, and like I'm okay wandering in the weeds or whatever, lost in the weeds in this one because it's interesting enough what is going on to keep me hooked. It's not going to be for everybody. It's kind of, it does need to fairly quickly start not necessarily explaining everything, but it does need to start becoming a little bit more cohesive. But I'm along for the ride so far on Bunnymask. Yeah, here we go. Defenders #1. Al Ewing, new Defenders. Probably a new character, maybe. I don't know. Like, what I do like, and one of the things they had in here is like it has the old sort of Marvel throwback, like little asterisks that said "See Marvel Comics 1000," which I didn't read, but it's just a fun little tidbit that I was in there, like a little like, hey, that's where you can go if you want to find out more. It's the forming of this new Avengers team. It's kind of all that happens. Not to spoil it or anything. It's just kind of like you get an idea sort of what the thread is. It's a mini series, and this one probably should have been a little bit faster paced. It's gorgeous. Javier Rodriguez, great art. I liked it quite a bit, and I'm interested enough to keep it up. I like the Defenders as an idea as a team too, so I might be a little biased on this one, even though like I'm not super familiar with half of these characters. Like it's just the idea of like this B tier weird wacko superhero team has always intrigued me. Probably why I like the Suicide Squad. See, look, I'm tying it all into the movie. All right, Campisi, whatever. The Dragon Incident, #1. The art on this is kind of interesting. It's Marco Licati, I think, on the art, and it's sketchy and maybe doesn't seem to fit the story a whole perfectly, but it's not bad. It's mostly clear as to what's going on. There's some strange camera angles and a little bit of a flip flop. Sometimes in a couple panels that happens oddly, where I'm like, why did you? No, the characters. Just no. Keep the characters where they are. You don't flip them. Make storytelling. Just tell the story clearly. That's it. And also, not a ton happened in this one, but it's an interesting enough idea too. It's what if the sort of low-level mob guy had to deal with a giant dragon that came to town? Interesting, and the character, the main character that is introduced in here is actually pretty interesting, I think too. So I'm going to give this one more and see where it goes. It's these Aftershock comics, I think, are all 5 issues, maybe, or they all tend to be. So it'll have to pick up on #2, but there's enough of a nugget in #1 for me to keep me going on this one. Spider Shadow number, whatever this one is, 5. I wasn't even sure how many of this was going to be at first. Somebody was telling me 8 issues or 12 issues or I think this is it. I think there's some setup at the end where it might not be. It's a What If story, which I need to go watch What If after this if I'm staying awake at the new Marvel Disney Plus D Plus show that all the kids are talking about. This is a solid ending, and it's a sort of poignant, bittersweet ending to this. What if Spider-Man had held onto the Venom symbiote suit and the repercussions thereof? I do like that it's stretched out. Like this would have been way too condensed to be. Or it would have been way too difficult to condense it into one 5-issue or one issue, which is the old What Ifs. Where I think the idea of these like mini series of What Ifs is an interesting one. Chip Zdarsky has enough interesting ideas in here and stuff that it's a pretty decent, pretty solid ending. Not necessarily a happy ending, but a pretty solid ending. Pascal Ferry's art, probably not the right fit either, though. It seems more of like an indie comic art, and you need something that's a little more superhero-y. Doesn't have to be traditional stuff, but just the art just didn't seem to quite mesh throughout this entire series. And this issue, it really kind of stood out to me as like that's not a good fit for this. But the story's decent. Justice League, The Last Ride, another Chip Zdarsky. It's the little Zdarsky section of the week. this is this is like another what if or sorry Elseworlds, right? Is that what DC calls them? I don't know. Maybe they don't. Yeah, I don't know. It's not in continuity in DC. I can't remember what they. I think it's Elseworlds, right? Who cares? All right, this is sort of the middle. This is a 12-issue monster of a thing, and this is like the Justice League has to, for some reason, protect Lobo and keep him alive and locked up, and is dealing with the loss of like Batman's getting blamed for the death of the Martian Manhunter. A little bit spoilery there, but this tells why Batman's blamed for things and sort of a little bit of why Lobo's locked up. And this is like the sort of ramp up a little of the backstory and enough of the telling of the story that this series needed. It was starting to lose me on the first three, and it's picked back up enough where I'm like, okay, I'm along for this one. And I tend to trust Zdarsky, and I'll try to read most of the stuff he puts out because he's a solid writer. It's just the pacing was a little slow, and it's still. It's still a character study in a lot of ways. Like, not a ton happens here, but you just sort of you get to know that, like, you realize that Zdarsky has a good handle on the personalities of the Justice League, and yeah, it's evident, and sort of it's a personality study, maybe, I guess. I don't know, whatever. All right, speaking of personalities, the 6 sidekicks of Trigger Keaton, issue number 3. This is just a fun book. This is sort of like what if Chuck Norris and or David Hasselhoff or any of the sort of like series leads. What's his nuts? Captain Kirk, James Tiberius Kirk, T.J. Hooker, that guy. Were supreme assholes to all their sidekicks, and somebody killed them, and the sidekicks are trying to figure it out. You sort of learn why they're trying to figure it out in here. It's not necessarily what you'd expect, but it's also it's just a fun book. The art takes being used to in this one too. Like Chris Schweitzer's art's really not going to be for everybody, but in something like this, I don't mind it. It's not a superhero book. It's not meant to be a superhero book. It's just meant to be a wacky adventure. So if you're in for a wacky adventure about 6 sidekicks that trying to figure that this Trigger Keaton was assholes to throughout his career, and you're trying to figure out why somebody wants him. Well, it's not why somebody wants him dead. Everybody wants him dead. It's like trying to figure out who killed him. And yeah, so just read it. All right, speaking of Chip Zdarsky, Daredevil 33. Thankfully, action, adventure. Marco Cicchetto. Marco Cicchetto's back on this book. I don't think he's back for long. I think he's probably off this fairly soon. Maybe not. Maybe he's back for good, which would be great because he's his art helps elevate the story. The Daredevil, the prison stuff is whatever. This took a weirdo turn in this one. And then the Elektra story is more interesting, and it should just be an Elektra book at this point. And you learn sort of her struggles. It's more of a fighty thing. Some cool stuff. There's not to spoil it. There's guest appearances. There's fun. There's Cicchetto. It's a good Daredevil book. So just read it. Just read Zdarsky's Daredevil. You'll be happy. All right, Eve number 4. Yeah, number 4. I think there's only one issue left of this too. I'm not sure. I don't know. Paying attention's hard, and research is non-existent, folks. It seems like there's one at least. There's got to be at least one left. I'm not sure if there's one or two. This is a slow. Okay, not slow, but like the first issue didn't I thought it was decent, but and then it's gotten better every issue, and this is probably the best yet. And you sort of learn what's going on in the world of Eve a little bit more than you have previously. Each issue you've learned a little bit more of what's going on in the world and why things are happening and what's this thing. And it's an interesting twist in this one that I don't want to. The cover might sort of give it away. And what happened last issue might sort of give it away a little bit, but I don't want to really get into spoilers on it. I'm trying to avoid that. I'm trying to be better, folks, even though I spoiled a few. Or, I spoil some shit. I don't spoil other shit. But yeah, just read Eve. I know that, or maybe you could wait till paperback on this one. Honestly, you probably could. Jomi Young, butchering that, art is great. There's a murderous robot teddy bear, and the world's about to end. And Eve might be able to save it. Maybe. Okay. This one could have been my pick of the week, too. It was my pick of the week. The issue number 1 was pick of the week when it came out. And this is number 2, the book of the week, or whatever. Mamo. If you like Tynion's Wind or some of the other young adult books that have come out lately, you should you should definitely get this one. Mamo is, I think it's all Saz Millage, and I don't know their gender, so I'm not going to use pronouns or try not to. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know which pronouns they prefer, but I think that they're doing all the art and all the writing, and I'm not sure about the lettering, but they're doing all the heavy lifting on this book. It's sort of a the art reminds me of like an Americanized Spirited Away. I can't think of the gentleman's name that the Miyagi. Let me know in the comments. But it just yeah, it seems like sort of an Americanized take on anime and manga, I guess would it be? And the story's fairly straightforward and simple. It's a pretty thick boy of a book. I don't remember what I'm not going to take it out here to let you know what it costs, but it's a young adult story about a witch, a hedge witch, and her grandmother and this other girl that needs her help because things that are occurring in this small little village. And so it's not necessarily heartfelt, but like there's character growth, there's adventure, there's action, and it's gorgeous. And yeah, it's pretty darn decent. So if you're not picking up Mamo, you're probably doing yourself a disservice. And finally, my book of the week, my finest book of the Fineries, or the I don't know, whatever you want to call it. The Unbelievable Unteens, #1 by Jeff Lemire and Tyler Crook. Tyler Crook got a solid painted kind of indie style that he uses through most of this, and he also switches it up to a sort of retro comic booky style. The retro comic booky style, effective, not necessarily super accurate as far as that retro-y goodness goes, but whatever. A comic writer was writing about a comic that might star her. Not to spoil a whole lot. It's Black Hammer. It's in the world of the Black Hammer. It's the it seemed, if you've read any of the Black Hammer, I'm not 100% caught up on all of it, but like you read this, you're like, oh, yeah, that's a Black Hammer kind of thing to do. And so it's a Black Hammer kind of thing to do. It's sort of a mystery superhero, and it's another like kind of love lettery take to probably like Doom Patrol-ish stuff, and the wackier kind of side of like superhero teams. And yeah, it's Lemire. He's he can just write. I mean, he really like Jeff Lemire's. I will pick up anything Jeff Lemire writes, and he did not disappoint in this issue. I don't know if I would. You know what? You could actually start here and know what's going on. It's an intro to this team. It's an intro to these characters. It's set in a world that exists, but you don't need anything else to get what's going on here, which is, I think, great. It's a great jumping on point if you're looking for like an easy access point to something, and like I was complaining earlier how there's comics where there's no access point and stuff. It's all set up here. You can from the first panel, first page, you get what's going on and you understand it, and it's just competent and like inviting to new readers. So, Unbelievable Unteens. That is my book of the week. This is my stack of goodness. That's it for the opinion. I'm just tired. It's been a long day, folks. Let me know if you disagree with it. Please disagree with some of my opinions, and let me know if I've missed any books, because I probably have. I mean, this is something like 20-some books. I just kind of ran out of money and space and stuff, and there's only so much you can read. Some of it has to go by the wayside, or some of it has to like wait till trade paperback, and some of it is going to wait till trade paperback from here on out. So that's what I've got. Don't be a dick. I will talk to you next week or later or whatever. I have other videos coming out. Watch them or don't. I know. I'll see you around. Don't be a dick. I know I said that. It's like, don't be a double dick. Don't be twice the dick. Don't even be a single dick. Yeah.